Hello and welcome to the Dailies. A single theme dominated international headlines. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's high-profile visit to Washington, framed as a pivotal moment for US-Saudi ties and regional diplomacy. In the United States, however, attention was split as the House's decisive vote to release the Epstein files fueled intense political scrutiny and renewed public pressure. Together, the two stories shaped a fast-moving news cycle on both the global and domestic fronts. American media framed the Mohammed bin Salman-Trump meeting as a high-profile, deal-heavy visit, highlighting major defense announcements and Saudi investment pledges. Coverage also focused on Trump's defense of MBS and Trump's not unusual confrontation with the press. Across outlets, the visit was portrayed as a strategic but controversial reset of US-Saudi relations, mixing diplomatic spectacle with significant geopolitical risks. Politico reported that President Trump announced a major expansion of the US-Saudi security relationship by designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, thereby deepening military cooperation without committing to a full defense treaty. The piece highlights the move was unveiled during a grand White House dinner with Mohammed bin Salman, where Saudi Arabia also pledged to boost US investment from roughly $600 billion to nearly $1 trillion. It contends that the designation opens the door for Saudi access to US weapons systems, of course, streamlined arms transfers and expanded defense industry ties. The Economist argues that Saudi Arabia, despite its influence and leverage, is deliberately slow-walking any move to join the Abraham Accords. The analysis contends that while President Trump is eager to showcase new signatories, Riyadh arrives in Washington with its own priorities. A defense pact, a civil nuclear deal, and F-35 fighter jets, not recognition of Israel. The piece shows how the Gaza war hardened Saudi conditions, with officials insisting that normalization is impossible without a credible path to a Palestinian statehood. It also highlights how the accords have survived regional turmoil, but now resemble a branding exercise rather than a genuine peace framework. Ultimately, the piece portrays Mohammed bin Salman as holding all the cards, securing US commitments while offering only distant, conditional hints of future normalization. The New York Times offers a detailed snapshot of the star-studded guest list at President Trump's black-tie White House dinner honoring Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The report underscores the symbolic weight of the event, Mohammed bin Salman's first U.S. visit since 2018. And also it highlights how Trump used the reception to project a renewed U.S.-Saudi partnership. Reporters catalogue a striking mix of global figures. Cristiano Ronaldo, FIFA President Gianni Infantino, and also leading tech moguls like Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Michael Dell, and Jensen Huang, all with deep or growing business ties to Saudi Arabia. The piece frames the dinner as part diplomatic showcase, part investor summit, revealing the kingdom's expanding influence across technology, sports, and finance. Across the Atlantic in Israel, the media portrayed the Mohammed bin Salman-Trump meeting as a high-stakes diplomatic moment, watched closely for its implications on Israel's security and regional standing. Coverage stressed Saudi Arabia's firm message: interest in the Abraham Accords exists, but only if a credible path to Palestinian statehood is offered. Outlets also highlighted growing concern over U.S. moves to sell F-35 jets to Riyadh, framing the visit as beneficial to U.S.-Saudi ties, but strategically unsettling for Israel. The Times of Israel reported on a pivotal Oval Office meeting between Mohammed bin Salman and Donald Trump, where the Saudi Crown Prince expressed interest in joining the Abraham Accords, yet emphasized that recognition of Israel must be paired with a clear path to Palestinian statehood. According to the report, Mohammed bin Salman described the discussion as healthy and underscored that Saudi normalization is contingent on credible progress towards a two-state solution. The piece framed Riyadh's stance as strategic leverage rather than immediate acceptance, signaling that Saudi Arabia intends to secure maximum concessions before formally normalizing ties with Israel. Israel Hayom tried to answer the question of why bin Salman's visit to Washington matters from an Israeli perspective. The explainer argues that the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Washington visit is a critical moment for both Saudi-US ties and Israel's strategic calculus. From Israel's perspective, the stakes are indeed high. The visit signals Riyadh's rising influence and the possibility of US-Saudi defense and nuclear agreements that could shift regional power dynamics. The piece underscores Israeli concern that a proposed US sale of F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia might indeed erode Israel's qualitative military edge, long protected by US policy. Meanwhile, although Washington seeks to bring Saudi Arabia to the Abraham Accords, Riyadh insists any normalization with Israel be tied to a clear pathway to a Palestinian state, setting Israel's own negotiations and diplomacy in motion. Arab and Saudi media outlets were overwhelmingly positive, portraying the visit as a demonstration of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's international stature and strong ties with the US. They highlighted investment deals, security talks, and alignment on regional issues. Saudi media stressed the kingdom's leadership role in shaping Middle East diplomacy, presenting the visit as a successful and confident assertion of Saudi priorities. Arab News underscores how Mohammed bin Salman's Washington visit with Donald Trump marks a pivotal step in Saudi Arabia's global strategy. The piece highlights a suite of strategic advances, a major announcement that Saudi Arabia would receive F-35 fighter jets, deepening US-Saudi defense ties, also heavy Saudi investment pledges in America, and elevated economic cooperation under Vision to 2030. The visit is framed not only as diplomacy, but as affirmation of Saudi Arabia's place as a regional leader with broad ambitions. It portrays the event as a culmination of careful planning and a signal of the kingdom's growing boldness on international stage. Another story grabbed attention in the US, Congress passing a bill to release the Epstein files. The Washington Post details how Congress overwhelmingly passed a bipartisan bill to compel the Department of Justice to release all unclassified files related to Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, with a remarkable 427 House votes to 1, followed by the Senate's swift approval. The piece highlights that President Trump, who had vigorously opposed the disclosure and dismissed also the focus as a hoax, reversed course at the last minute, signaling he will sign the legislation. The report emphasizes the pressure from survivors of the Epstein's abuse and the bipartisan coalition that overcame leadership resistance. While the bill mandates public disclosure, it preserves limited exceptions for ongoing investigations, and the DOJ has yet to clarify how it will comply. And we'll end with the Wall Street Journal, which explains the next stage in the saga of the Jeffrey Epstein files, now that the House has overwhelmingly voted to force their release. The piece explains that if indeed signed by Donald Trump, the legislation would require the Justice Department to make public in searchable format unclassified records associated with Epstein, such as flight logs, memos, communications, and also immunity deals. It also points out that while victims' details and explicit content may still be redacted, the bill limits redactions based on embarrassment or reputation. That's it for today. Thanks for watching the Dailies, only on Al Arabiya English.